Morning, guys. It's Thursday, December 4th, 5:23 a.m. Central Time. Grain markets are mixed this morning. March corn futures down 0.75 cents at 442 3/4. January soybeans up 2.5 at 11.18 1/4. March Chicago wheat down 1 at 537 1/4. March Kansas City wheat down 0.75 cent at 528 3/4. March spring wheat up 1 3/4 at 578. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, was talking about soybeans yesterday. Why don't we start there?
So yesterday, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said China will meet its commitment to purchase 12 million metric tons of U.S. soybeans. While the White House initially stated that the purchases would be completed by the end of the year, Bessent now expects fulfillment by the end of February. To date, China has purchased roughly 19% or 2.2 million metric tons of the agreed upon volume. Bessent also said that he is optimistic that the U.S. Supreme Court will uphold the legality of President Trump's tariffs.
We've got to watch the video of Bessent talking about this because it's remarkable. Here we go.
You mentioned China. Want to discuss China for a moment, which is there is a deal, or we're working towards a deal in place. Part of the deal, the most recent deal, was that China was supposed to buy 12 million metric tons of U.S. soybeans. As of just about a week or two ago, they had only bought 330,000 by the end of this year.
No, by the end of the season. So I think that'll be February 28th.
So, okay, we're still at 300. If the 330,000,
I promise you, you can try to stir it up. They are in a perfect cadence to complete that goal.
But 330,000.
No. Again, bad information.
Bad information.
Bad information. If I look at the loadings, then their purchase by their central government is well into the correct cadence.
Okay, so let me ask you then a different question.
And I will say that China is on track to keep every part of the deal. Every part of the deal.
What an asshole.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Arrogant son of a bitch. He doesn't even let the guy ask the question. Andrew Ross Sorkin's like a respected financial journalist. Like, he's written books. He's interviewed presidents. And he just doesn't even give him the time of day. Scott Bessent thinks we're stupid. This is the White House fact sheet. It said verbatim, China will purchase at least 12 million metric tons of U.S. soybeans during the last 2 months of 2025. We can read, dude. I mean, what the hell are you talking about? He's talking about like a loading pace. Like, China hasn't even shown up on the export inspections report yet. They haven't. We have our tracker that we've been using, and I should probably just throw this in the trash because it doesn't mean anything. What season is he talking about that ends on February 28th? There is no season. There's no soybean season. There's no any season that ends on February 28th. Somebody emailed me yesterday, and I thought they were joking. They're like, hey, maybe he's talking about the Chinese New Year. Maybe he is. That's sometime in the late. They're just like making things up now to appease you. If I'm a soybean grower or I'm involved in one of these soybean lobbies, I'm absolutely furious.
Mm-hmm.
They're lying. Sure. They're lying to us because they want your vote. They want your support, but they're not willing to help you out. They're going to lie to you in order to maintain your support is what they're doing here. I mean, am I thinking of this wrong?
No, I'd say you're spot on.
It's frustrating. Let me know what you guys think. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about it. I mean, we were lied to. The fact sheet lied to us. Brooke Rollins, I've got her clip here too. Let's listen to that.
It is a floor, 12 million over the next 2 or 3 months, not a ceiling. 25 million over the next each year over the next 3 years, which is very important. Mm-hmm. Again, floor, not a ceiling. We do believe there's a lot more market there.
Mackenzie, we lost her video there. So she said next 2 or 3 months when we taped at the there you are. She said next 2 or 3 months when we taped in. I think it was like November. It was like November 1st.
Mm-hmm,
it was like
something like that.
Yeah. So I mean, so she maybe specifically or factually gave us till the end of January. But I mean, the White House fact sheet says what it says. I don't know, guys. I'm frustrated. If I'm involved in one of these soybean lobbies, I'm representing the growers. I've said this before. The time for writing letters to this administration has passed. You better get your ass on an airplane and go visit Washington and make your voice heard, because this is just, it's ridiculous.
U.S. soybean shipments to China are slated to ramp up in the coming weeks. Through mid-December, at least 6 soybean vessels are scheduled to load at Gulf Coast terminals. Another soybean bulk carrier was loaded this past weekend and is currently on its way to China, the first shipment since May. Despite these shipments, of course, Chinese purchases of U.S. soybeans remain well below levels seen in prior years, pressuring the soybean market. U.S. sorghum shipments to China have also resumed for the first time since March.
This is not like fresh news. We talked about this yesterday, and it's continuing. I mean, we're going to ship soybeans to China, but not at the pace that was mentioned in the fact sheet, and probably not even at the pace that Scott Bessent's talking about. He acts as if he's got like some secret like vessel data. Like, I've seen the loading data. No, you haven't. You don't know anything that we don't know. He's just like making stuff up. This was as of Monday. I mean, we're not shipping the soybeans that we normally would, and we didn't expect to. But we were hoping that at least what the White House told us with regard to sales was factual in nature. And as it turns out, it was not.
According to Dennis Johnson of Iowa State University, who is based in north central Iowa, farmers in his area are leaning toward increasing corn acreage next season. His outlook is based on recent surveys and farmers' ability to consistently produce high-yielding corn. Johnson noted that while southern rust affected some crops this season, overall yields in his area were strong. For 2026 disease management, he advised farmers to avoid overreacting by overspending on fungicides, emphasizing the basic necessity to monitor fields.
Yeah, the acreage debate, it's not really a battle, but the acreage debate is starting up and heating up just a little bit. The ratio chart, or the ratio corn versus soybeans for 2026 probably still favors slightly more corn acres, but the budgets are even different than that. So we had this a couple weeks ago. This is from our friend Chris Barron at AgView Solutions. The projected return for soybeans is like -6% for next year, whereas corn is actually positive to the tune of just less than 1%, but still positive. Average break-even costs for the crops, when you consider cost of living and all that stuff, $467 for corn and $1180 for soybeans. So corn still is the winner here from an economic standpoint. And this is not supposed to be like your numbers, guys. This is an aggregate of Chris's customer base. So I still think we're going to plant a lot of corn this year, unless something really changes. Like, I think the corn number could still be 95 million pretty easily, but we'll find out.
If you guys have not checked out our premium content, you sure need to do so. Joe, can you tell our viewers about yesterday's premium video?
Did what I would call some hardcore grain marketing stuff with Matt Bennett yesterday, manufacturing $5 corn and $12 soybeans without using options. And we were talking about 2026 in particular. This involved some forward sales, some interesting stuff with regard to capture and carry, and some things that you should be aware of. There's some opportunity out there right now, especially in the corn market for next year. And we ran through kind of Matt's ideas on this whole situation. If you guys want to see the premium stuff, go to standardgrain.com. You can sign up this morning. This is a $50 per month subscription. You can cancel at any time. There's no other fee, no other obligation. Nobody will try to sell you anything else. I'll never lie to you like Scott Bessent did. Never. Could you imagine like just lying to like your constituency like that? It's crazy. In any case, guys, we'll shoot you straight here. Give that deal a shot this morning.
U.S. ethanol production climbed to a new all-time weekly high last week, with output rising to 1.13 million barrels per day, up 1.2% compared to the prior week and up 1% versus the same week last year. Ethanol stocks rose to 22.51 million barrels. The print was up 2.5% compared to the previous week, but down 1.6% compared to the same week last year. According to Reuters data, U.S. ethanol margins have weakened over the last week, ranging anywhere from 5 cents negative to 25 cents positive across the Corn Belt.
I believe that was one of the best prints ever, if not the best print ever, like of all time. Like
yes,
any week.
correct.
So ethanol demand for corn via ethanol is fantastic. The margins have retreated a little bit, but as long as you're like close to break even-ish, they'll still keep grinding corn for ethanol. Stocks are, a little bit higher than I like them to be, but it's all good here. This is not the part of the demand, but we're not actually worried about any part of the corn demand base aside from feed and residual, which I think USDA is overstating for this now current marketing year, but that remains to be seen.
Insurance rates for ships docking up at Black Sea ports have surged, with rates for vessels calling on Russian ports tripling. The sharp increase follows a series of Ukrainian attacks on Russian-affiliated vessels. The attacks coincide with Ukraine's recent strikes against Russian oil infrastructure. On Tuesday, Vladimir Putin said Russia was considering multiple retaliatory measures. Analysts expect the attacks to continue.
So we saw our what I called the Putin rally in corn and soybeans on Tuesday, and then we just about gave it all back yesterday. So there is some increased tensions, and we thought just a week ago we were moving toward a peace deal, and now it's all of a sudden Putin's talking about striking vessels and stuff. So I mean, yeah, the insurance companies are covering themselves here, which makes sense, but we haven't heard anything new this morning, or yesterday, and maybe that's why we gave back most of Tuesday's gains.
The U.S. labor market continues to weaken. payroll processor, ADP, reported that private employers cut 32,000 jobs in November, a stark reversal from 47,000 jobs that were added back in October. The report fell short of economists' projection of 40,000 new private sector jobs. Hiring has slowed this year amid the Trump administration's tariff policies and a shrinking labor pool driven by immigration crackdowns. From July through September, the U.S. added an average of 62,000 jobs per month, down sharply from 186 per month during the same period last year. The ongoing slowdown in hiring is adding pressure to the Fed to consider cutting rates again at its upcoming meeting, a move largely anticipated by financial markets.
Yep. So the Fed has shifted its focus. They're not worried about inflation anymore. And I don't know if that's the right move because it's still CPI is still a full percentage point ahead of their stated goal of 2%. I think we're at 3%. They're not worried about the jobs market. So yeah, the Treasury markets have discounted an 87% chance of a quarter point cut on December 10th. That is the next meeting, which I believe will be next week. What did cattle do yesterday?
Cattle futures were higher once again yesterday. Live cattle were 47 cents to $1.10 higher. Feeders saw gains ranging from 187 up to 255. Box beef prices were mixed. Choice was down to 91 cents at 363.81, while select was up 234 at 353.12.
You think Scott Bessent was the guy in the YouTube comments that kept calling me low IQ? Do you think that was him?
Most likely.
Like he obviously thinks we're stupid. He thinks me.
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about.
No idea. All right, guys. Have a wonderful day. We'll be back on Friday.